Yo, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back, or welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the semifinal, conference final matchup, a rematch from 2020 between the New York Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll be taking a look at that series and predicting what happens. We'll be previewing this series in this video. So let's get right into it. So the New York Islanders, coming into this series, they've had some success here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They beat both their opponents, the black and gold opponents, in 6 games. They played the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round, knocking off Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, beating them in 6 games. Everybody wrote them off in that series. They win that series in 6. They take on the Boston Bruins, who are considered a Cup favorite, especially after acquiring Taylor Hall. He looked good in that first round series against Washington, and it looked like the Islanders were going to have their hands full in that series. The Islanders take care of the Boston Bruins in 6 games. For the Tampa Bay Lightning, whoa, their narrative was a little bit interesting. They, pretty much the opposite of the Islanders. They were a Cup favorite going into the postseason. You look what they did last year, winning the Stanley Cup, so they're just really, what's the saying? You're never dethroned until you lose in the playoffs. So you're just assuming that Tampa Bay can do it again, and nobody's been able to get in their way yet. They played the Florida Panthers in the first round, beat the Panthers in 6 games. Probably should have beat them in 4 or 5 if we're going to be honest. But they let their foot off the gas just a little bit, and that's it. 6 games, they beat the Panthers. Their first battle of Florida, they won that series. Now going into the second round, they played the division winners of the Central Division, the Carolina Hurricanes. And that was not much of an easier task, but a hostile environment. And not that Florida wasn't hostile, but we know the Caniacs down there with the storm surge and everything in Raleigh is very difficult to play against, especially Rod Brendamore's team. And the Tampa Bay Lightning took care of them in 5 games. So you're talking about a situation here where both these teams have not gone to a Game 7 yet this year. And for the most part, we're kind of riding high at the end of their series and not a ton of controversy or adversity throughout the series. So going into this series, it's a little bit interesting seeing how these teams fared out. Now, they didn't play each other during the regular season because obviously it was only divisional play. So we can't go off of these teams' regular season schedule against each other head to head. But we're going to look at the points, the power play, the penalty kill, the special teams, as well as the goaltending situation. So we're going to look at the points. Guys, it's led by Tampa. It's dominated by Tampa. The top point producer in the NHL playoffs right now is Nikita Kucherov. 18 points for Nikita Kucherov this season. He has been so good, and he is going to be a problem as this series. He is going to be a problem in this series. So expect some big things there from Kucherov. The top goal leader in terms of goals this season, Braden Point with 8 goals. He has as many as Brad Marchand and Nathan MacKinnon. Now, it is possible for the Islanders to beat that kind of caliber player because they did just knock out Brad Marchand and the Bruins, so it is possible. And the top assist leaders, you have Nikita Kucherov with 13 and Victor Hedman with 11. Mind you, I didn't mention anything about the Islanders in that category. Now, looking at plus minus, it's fairly Islanders dominated as the top 2 guys, Scott Mayfield and Jean-Gabriel Pageau, have 12 and 11 in terms of their plus minus. But again, not too far down the road, you got McDonough, Chernak, again, Tampa Bay Lightning players. So the Islanders in the plus minus category, that may be something you want to look at in terms of that. But again, in terms of points, you're getting your points from the top guys like Braden Point, Stamkos, Killorn, Kucherov. And you could even throw Hedman in that category as well, but he gets more assists. Now, the narrative doesn't change too much in terms of in between the pipes. As Andrei Vasilevsky this playoffs has been a god at points. You look at his postseason this year, he's won 8 of his 11 starts, a 2.24 goals against average, and a .934 save percentage. So pretty impressive there for Vasi this offseason. And the numbers for Varlamov have been a little bit interesting. You look at his numbers, he's in 7 games this season, because remember, they've played Ilya Sorokin for a couple of those games. So in Varlamov's 7 starts, he's won 4 of those starts. He has a 2.62 goals against average and a .925 save percentage. So not too different in those regards, but it is something to keep in mind. And in terms of shutouts, Vasi leads the league in terms of 2 shutouts this postseason. And probably the most terrifying thing right now going into this series, the narrative is going to be the Islanders have to keep the Tampa Bay Lightning off of the power play. And that could prove to be a factor that could turn into a problem here for the New York Islanders. And I'll mention why in a minute. Looking at the stats for that power play, the best power play in the NHL during the playoffs has gone to the Tampa Bay Lightning, a 41.7% power play efficiency, almost 50%. Very scary stats there. The Islanders' power play has been a little bit better, but again, it's the Islanders, so they're at 28%. Penalty kill goes to the Tampa Bay Lightning as well, 77.8, compared to the Islanders, who are 14th in the NHL at a 61.5% power play, so penalty kill. So that's a little bit concerning, if I'm going to be honest. The Islanders have to be on their A game in terms of their special teams. That is going to be the indicative of this series. And we saw that at points during this series against the Boston Bruins. But again, the Bruins led in terms of better power play and penalty kill than the Islanders. And the Islanders were able to knock the Bruins out in 6 games. So that doesn't mean everything, but it should account for something at the very least. Now, the problem is, this is a different beast. We talked about the Bruins being a different beast than the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the Tampa Bay Lightning, this is the cream of the crop in terms of the NHL right now. This is going to be a very difficult series, for the Islanders. And the Bruins, this is interesting for the Bruins, for the Lightning, because they have not played a team like the Islanders yet this postseason. Now, you could argue that the Hurricanes kind of play that game, but not to the way that the Islanders can. In the first round, they played Florida, a very run and gun style, which, they've been more defensively responsible, but it's not to the level of the Islanders. Same thing for the Hurricanes. The Tampa Bay Lightning have not played an Islanders team like this yet this postseason, where they can dominate the play. Tampa Bay has dominated their play throughout the entire playoffs. And the question is, are they going to be able to do that against the Islanders? And the biggest concern for an Islanders fan is you've got some guys on this Lightning team, like Eric Chernak, like Victor Hedman, like Patrick Maroon. You don't really want to cause problems with these guys. They are big guys. Ross Colton. The Islanders have to be careful in terms of taking penalties. They're going to have their liberties with the Islanders if the Islanders are afraid to take penalties, and they may not be as defensively tight because they don't want to give Tampa Bay power plays. And if the Islanders are thinking that in their head, that could be a huge problem in this series. So we'll see what happens. I think the Islanders, they can hold their own. They've held their own against guys like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin. They've held their own against the perfection line. Literally the perfection line. Pasternak, Bergeron, and why am I drawing a blank? Marchand. So who's to say the Islanders can't stop guys like, I already forgot his name, Braden Point, Stamkos, Killorn. The Islanders have the ability to shut that down. The key point is it's going to be difficult for the Islanders too because of goaltending. Goaltending is Andrei Vasilevsky. He's been very good this year, and the Islanders need Semyon Varlamov. He played good enough for the Islanders to win throughout their series against the Boston Bruins, but he gave up 4 goals in Game 5. He gave up 2 goals in Game 6. Not bad, but still not great. He did give up 5 goals in Game 1, so they can't run and gun with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Islanders have to play their dump and chase game, wear down the Lightning defensemen, and find a way to win that way. And the problem is, too, the depth of the blue line here is not like it is with the Boston Bruins. The Tampa Bay Lightning are an unreal beast. The Bruins were running that top line a lot in this series against the Islanders. The Lightning are they have way more flexibility in terms of their ability to roll lines like the Islanders. But you could argue that they have more skill than the Islanders. But you know what? You go off of that for the last 2 series, you would think the Islanders would lose. On paper, the Islanders didn't have as much depth as the Penguins and the Bruins, but they still find a way to win the series. So my predictions for this series, guys, I can't. I literally can't bet against the Islanders. I've fallen for this trap in 2019 when I predicted the Pits. I was so sold that the Penguins would win that series in 5 or 6 games. And ever since then, I've stuck with my New York Islanders till the end. I believe the New York Islanders I predicted last series that they would beat the Bruins in 6 games. I predicted they could beat Pittsburgh in 6 games. I have to go with Tampa Bay in 7. Because the problem is, they have to find a way to win that game in Tampa Bay. I truly believe this series will come down to a 7-game series. If the Islanders have any chance of winning this series, it's going to take 7 games. If they shock the world and they find a way to steal 2 in Tampa Bay between game 1 and 5, they can win it in 6. But I think it's going to be really difficult. I think the Islanders could find themselves down 3-2 going back home in game 6. They win game 6. They have a chance in game 7, and everything's off the table in game 7. And at the end of the day, the Islanders have shown throughout this playoffs and the last 2 years. Listen, guys, the Islanders have now won 5 playoff series in the past 3 years. They have a little experience. Tampa Bay has some experience as well, absolutely. The Islanders aren't that far behind. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Who do you have winning this series? A rematch of the conference finals, semifinals between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the New York Islanders. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos just like this one as we continue the 2021 Stanley Cup Playoffs coverage, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and an even bigger subscribe down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.